Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the game review, Liverpool 2, Everton 0 at Anfield in the Merseyside derby on Saturday afternoon. Everton once again robbed at Anfield by an at best incredibly incompetent decision, at worst a clear show of corruption by referee Craig Pawson. I feel like I've done this type of video and said these type of things numerous times before when discussing Merseyside derbies, especially Merseyside derbies at Anfield, and there's an incredible level of forgetfulness amongst Liverpool fans at the moment on social media, who seem to forget the uproar and the outcry that they that they put on show after they had a decision go against them a couple of weeks ago against Tottenham Hotspur. They seem to have forgotten all of that, and in fact some fans even said things like, we all should stand together in these moments. When Luis Diaz's goal was ruled out against Tottenham, we all should stand together against these referees that aren't good enough to do their job and are letting us all down week in, week out. Funny how the same fan 3 weeks later said something along the lines of Evertonians need to get over the decision, it wasn't that serious. Funny that, isn't it, how we all should stand together when it goes against Liverpool, but the moment that the decision goes in Liverpool's favour, we should all forget about it and not even discuss it. Clowns. That has to be said. Everton have lost yet another Merseyside derby, and another Merseyside derby that I thought the game plan was right by Sean Dyche. I thought the game plan was as it should have been. Do I think Sean Dyche was perfect on Saturday afternoon? No. I think he got a couple of things wrong. I think his decision to start Ashley Young in the first place in this game was one that confused me. Not confused me because I was surprised, but confused me because I don't see what Ashley Young has done to deserve continuing to start in this Everton team. And his decision to bring Michael Keane on is one that I personally feel was a little bit unnecessary. I understand some people talking about, the fact we needed to bring a centre-half on and you'd prefer Michael Keane over Ben Godfrey. I just didn't think that was something that needed to be done, considering Michael Keane's record of giving away goals or making mistakes or doing things in games of football that ultimately come back to bite Everton on the arse, and they did again on Saturday. But other than that, I thought up until the penalty we gave a pretty good account of ourselves. Obviously we'll get into the refereeing display in this live stream, and I'm sure that will take us on a whole different level of rant once we get on to talking about that. But the game in itself, I think firstly was an incredibly poor game of football from both sides. And I also think it was an incredibly close game of football as well, and it's quite laughable that some of the things I've read from Liverpool fans over the last 2 days or so regarding the game, and I'm not by any sense of the imagination saying that Everton deserved to win this game, by the way. And when I say we were robbed at Anfield, I don't mean, and I didn't think I would have to explain this, but clearly here I am having to explain this. I'm not referring to the fact that had Konate had been sent off, Everton would have gone and won the game. I understand Liverpool had all of the possession. I understand Liverpool were the attacking team. I understand Liverpool may have gone on and won that game anyway. They may well. Michael Keane may well still have given away that penalty in the last 10 minutes. They may well still have counter-attacked in the last couple of minutes and scored the second goal. I've never once said that Everton would have won that game or deserved to win that game if the refereeing decisions were different. I've never once said that. In fact, I said in the instant match reaction, which certain people, for some reason couldn't listen to, only listened to certain parts that they wanted to listen to. I said in the instant match reaction, I'm not saying Everton deserved to win the game, and I'm not saying Everton would have gone on to win the game. What I'm saying is I expect a fair refereeing display, and I expect decisions that get given against Everton to also be given against Liverpool, and they weren't. And that is where Everton were robbed. Everton could quite well have still gone on to lose the game because Liverpool were on the attack. They were the attacking team. They were the team with the more possession, with the more opportunities, etc. They were at home. They're a better team than Everton. I've got no problem admitting that Liverpool are a better team than Everton. They've got better players. They've got a better manager. But this notion that, and there's a couple of things I want to mention before we get into the game and before we get into the finer details of the game, is this notion that Everton are basically wrong for, or Evertonians are basically wrong for complaining or wrong for calling out the refereeing decision because we only had 16% possession. Or I've started to see this account on Twitter pop up, or on X as it's called now, pop up over the last few weeks or so, called Ref Support UK. And as I'm sure you can imagine, I've got absolutely no time for it whatsoever. I've got no time for Premier League referees. I tweeted this yesterday and I'll say it again. I've got no respect for them. Remember the whole campaign a few years ago about respect the referee, we have to respect our officials? Bollocks. I've got not 1 ounce of respect for any of them whatsoever. As I said before, at best, they are incredibly incompetent and incapable of doing their job. At worst, they are egomaniacs who want to make the game all about themselves, want to make the outcomes all about themselves. They're incredibly incompetent at doing their jobs. They're biased, as I said, at a very base level, they're biased. At worst case scenario, they're corrupt. And they have been known and have been found out to protect each other instead of making a correct decision in order to make a game fair. They would rather protect themselves because they're all friends and they all go on their little holidays in the summer and they all, know each other and they all have a laugh every day, as opposed to making the right decisions for the integrity of the game. A referee would rather make the wrong decision and protect his friend than make the right decision and keep the integrity of the game. So I've got no respect for referees whatsoever. But there's this ref support account on social media who tweeted something defending Craig Pawson's performance on Saturday. No shock. And it was something along the lines of, well, you only had 116 passes anyway, so what would the sending off difference would the sending off have made? I also seen an interview with James Tarkowski after the game saying that he asked for an explanation as to why he was yellow carded and Kunate wasn't second yellow carded, and the referee said something along the lines of, you were out of position. Well, let me just say two things. Firstly, what has the position of a footballer got to do with anything? So if a central midfielder commits a foul in a left-wing position, it's a yellow card because he's out of position. But if a left winger commits the same foul in the same position, it's not a yellow card because he's in his position. That's a load of bollocks. Secondly, what has the amount of passes that Everton had made in the game got anything to do with Kunate's challenge on Beto, which was a clear second yellow card? It's got nothing to do with that. It's got absolutely nothing to do whatsoever. So your arguments are a load of bollocks. And another thing that is an absolute load of bollocks is this argument that Everton can't complain about the refereeing decision because we didn't set up to win the game. We only sat back. We didn't come to win the game. Oh, look at you sitting back again, not coming to win the game, blah, 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 blah. You don't deserve the refereeing decision. You wouldn't have won anyway. As I've said, I never once said we'd have won the game anyway. But let me tell you this, and this is pure fact. And if you don't agree with this, then you didn't watch the game. Or you watched a different game, or you watched the highlights, or you listened to it on the radio. You very certainly didn't watch this game with your own eyes. Firstly, had Kunate have been sent off, it would have been 10 men apiece at 0-0. Now, I'm not saying we'd have gone on to win the game, but what I'm saying is Liverpool weren't 2-0 up when this challenge was made. It was 0-0 at this point. And the momentum of the game could quite easily have switched. Liverpool might have gone a little bit more defensive. Klopp might have thought, you know what, this is going to get a little bit tight now. Who knows what would have happened? Secondly, Everton were not there on Saturday for the entertainment of Liverpool fans. And this arrogance, and I've spoken about this before on the channel, and I'll speak about it again, and I'll continue to speak about it until I see a change. This arrogance of football fans of the Big Six clubs, certainly. You see it with Liverpool more often than not because I'm an Evertonian and I'm in the city. You see it with Man United, you see it with Arsenal, etc., etc. The arrogance of these fans that believe that teams should turn up to their home grounds and basically say, yeah, go on, roll us over. You can beat us 4 or 5-0 for your entertainment, and that's absolutely fine, is the worst thing about football fans. Is this arrogance that, well, you defended for 90 minutes, so you don't deserve anything. Hang on. I've just admitted, and I'm sure 99.9% of Evertonians would admit, that Liverpool Football Club have got better players than Everton. Better attacking players, better defensive players, a better manager, a better structure. So you're telling me that unless we turn up and go toe-to-toe with Liverpool Football Club at Anfield and get at them and try and attack and try and battle, which, by the way, would have resulted in us losing that game 3-4, 5-0, then ultimately we don't deserve anything from the game. Okay, so if Luton were playing Manchester City at the Etihad tomorrow, would you expect them to turn up and have a go at Manchester City and get at them and try and play football against them and try and go toe-to-toe with them? No, because they'd lose 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-0. However, if Luton turned up and threw everyone behind the ball and defended really well and battled and fought and managed to get a point, would anybody be sitting there saying, oh, what a disgraceful performance that was from Luton, that's disgusting, that's disgraceful? This whole anti-football stuff is bollocks. It's arrogant bollocks made up by fans of the big six clubs who have never watched the game of football live, by the way, in the flesh. They've never been to a football ground in their lives because they don't understand that there is more than one way to approach a game of football. More than one way to tactically approach a game of football. It's not just, we're going to go out, we're going to get at you, and we're going to bat, and we're going to be on the front foot, and we're going to attack. Because if you try and do that against a side that is significantly better than you away from home, you will lose comfortably. But that's what these fans expect. These fans expect teams to turn up at Anfield and just roll over and lose. And if they don't, they start crying their eyes out. Oh, it's a disgrace that they didn't come and let us batter them. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Do me a favour and get to fuck. Get to fuck. We're not there for your entertainment. Everton were there on Saturday to try and get something out of the game. And do you know what? This weird notion that Liverpool were unbelievable on Saturday is absolutely baffling. Liverpool won the game, by the way, and I'm not just saying Liverpool didn't deserve to win the game, because ultimately you were the attacking team, you did have the more possession, you were getting forward more. If Everton had won that game, it would have been very, a snatch and grab, if you like. I'm not saying that Liverpool didn't deserve to get something out of the game more so than Everton did, but do me a favour, Liverpool fans watching, because there'll be hundreds and thousands of you watching because there was on the Instant Match Reaction. Give me one moment that Jordan Pickford was put under pressure before the Konate situation, please. Give me one moment. Give me one, you would think they were 3-0 up at that point, and or they'd had 4 shots that had hit the bar, or they'd had moments in the game where they'd look like they were going to score and we were terrified. Everton were controlling the game really well. Defensively, we were barely put under any pressure whatsoever before the penalty. Whatsoever. Jordan Pickford was barely put... And by the way, when I say pressure, I'm not counting Alexander-Arnold hitting a shot 45 miles over the bar and the commentators orgasming as if it was close to going in. Or Szoboszlai hitting one 3 miles away from the goal and everybody going, oh! As if it was close. No, it wasn't. It was 3 miles away. Pickford covered it with his eyes closed. So this notion that, firstly, yous were getting battered anyway, yous were going to lose anyway, is wrong, because we weren't getting battered at all. It was a very close game. Not saying it was close in terms of stats, but in terms of actual action, there wasn't a lot of action from Liverpool's forward line before that Konate moment. And this notion that, it's a disgrace that teams turn up at Anfield and don't try and go and win the game, or don't try and... It only comes out of the mouths of people that have never been to a football game in their lives. Never been to a football game in their lives. And do me a favour, by the way. Do me a favour, generally, honestly, now, if you're watching this live stream. Other than Manchester City, name me one other team in the Premier League that goes to Anfield, goes down to 10 men in the opening 35 minutes, and then tries to get at Liverpool. Because there was a different energy when Liverpool went down to 9 men against Tottenham and defended for the last 15 minutes. Well, okay, Liverpool didn't deserve to win that game because you defended. Oh no, you won't like that argument. You won't like that argument. Oh, but we had the goal ruled out. Well, you didn't deserve to win anyway because Tottenham were the better team, so get over it. it's bollocks and it's absolute nonsense. And as I said, the notion that there's only one way to approach a game of football, and if you don't approach it that way, then you don't deserve to win, it only comes out of the mouth of people who don't understand football and don't have never been to a football game in their lives, to be able to say, actually, do you know what? Maybe certain games you have to defend differently. You have to approach differently. Carlo Ancelotti won a Champions League final against Liverpool a couple of years ago by defending. He had one chance on the counter, they scored and he defended for the rest of it. But, when they were out celebrating their 15th Champions League or whatever it is, and Liverpool were crying their eyes out because they'd lost, do you think Real Madrid was sitting there going, oh no, but bloody hell, we didn't really get at them a bit there, did we? We didn't really attack them, no, did they? Or were Liverpool fans sitting there saying, that's a disgrace, that's an absolute... No, they weren't. They were fucking crying their eyes out because they lost the final. There's more than one way to approach a game of football, firstly. Secondly, I'm not saying Everton would have gone on to win that game had the decision not have been given, but what I am saying is it was 0-0 at the time, and Liverpool hadn't really put Everton's defence under any real pressure up until that point. So, who knows what would have happened. And, yeah, as I said, the result in itself... The goals that Everton conceded, I've got a problem with generally, because I've got a problem with Everton conceding, but I've not got a problem with in terms of the referee. I think the penalty was a penalty, I'll be honest. I think it is a penalty. I think it's stupid by Michael Keane. He's been caught doing that before, lashing his arm out, and it's always getting given at Anfield. Even if it wasn't a penalty, it was always going to get given. But I do think it was. I think had it have not been given and it was the other way, I'd have been extremely annoyed. And the second goal was a goal that come from Everton trying to, grab an equaliser in the last couple of minutes. Liverpool went up the other end and they scored. So, the two goals in itself, I've got no issue with. And I've got no issue with Liverpool fans saying, yeah, we dominated the game and we probably deserve to win. Fine, no issue with it. The notion that up until the Konate situation, you were absolutely unbelievable is bollocks. It's wrong. It's just blatantly wrong. And the other notion that teams have got to come to Anfield and have got to roll over and be beaten, and if they don't roll over and be beaten, then it's a disgrace and they don't deserve anything, is once again an arrogant, very conservative mentality to have. I'll be brutally honest. So, football doesn't work like that. Football isn't played like that. It just isn't. And ultimately that's the way it is. And in terms of the game in itself, as I said before, I don't think Everton, were particularly horrendous. If you'd have asked any Evertonian going into that game, do you expect Everton to turn up, get at Liverpool, attack them, be on the front foot, battle with them, constantly on the front foot? I don't think any of us would have said, yes, that's what I expect, because it was never going to happen. Liverpool have got significantly better players than Everton have. They've got a better manager than Everton have. They're in a better position than Everton are. It was never going to happen. Never, ever, ever going to happen. So, the way in which we performed was what we expected. Defending, battling. And by the way, until Ashley Young was sent off in the 36th, 7th minute, whatever it was, Everton were very much in the game. This is another thing I've seen on social media. Even before the Young sending off, yes, we're getting battered. Were we? Did you watch the same game I watched? Because as far as I'm concerned, before the Ashley Young sending off, there wasn't much going on in the game whatsoever. It was a very dull, boring game of football where neither team were particularly great. We had a chance in the opening couple of minutes with Dom. They had a couple of chances. But there wasn't much going on. It wasn't like Liverpool were massively, on top or dominating Everton or were much the better team. That wasn't the case at all. Yeah, like I said, team news is released obviously an hour before the game. We corrected it absolutely spot on, by the way, using the Fan Hub's predicted starting 11 predictor. So go and check out Fan Hub in the description down below, top line of the description. You can see the code there. You'll be able to use to get on. Go and follow us over there. We are building a community. Yeah, we predicted it exactly how it was. Onana, James Garner and Decore in the midfield, Harrison and McNeely the side of Calvert-Lewin, and obviously the defence was what it was. I predicted Young to be in there. Would I have wanted Young to be in there? You know, I preferably not. I'd have rather have had Nathan Patterson in there, to be perfectly honest with you. But we all knew what the manager was going to do. We all know how the manager was going to set up, and we all knew Ashley Young was going to be in there because he's experienced, the manager knows him, the manager trusts him, etc, etc. Ironically, he actually made a really, really good challenge in the opening 10 minutes to deny Luis Diaz. That was the only chance Liverpool had in that opening first half. Really, that troubled Everton was that moment, and Ashley Young ends up making a goal-saving clearance, and then 10 minutes later ends up getting sent off. This comment, you need to do reviews with a clear head. Your hate for Liverpool is clouding you. Oh, don't get it twisted. I absolutely fucking despise Liverpool Football Club. I absolutely despise them. I absolutely despise 90% of the fan base. You know, there's exceptions of people that I'm close to, and not even people I don't mind. Liverpool fans that can talk football and understand football and are honest and can admit things and are good to have a conversation with. But most Liverpool fans are, as I said, never been to a game before, don't understand football and just talk out their bollocks. And it's the same with a lot of fans of a lot of clubs, to be honest with you. I absolutely do hate Liverpool Football Club, you're right, but it's got nothing to do with what I've said. Not everything I've just said was on. If I hated Liverpool Football Club that much and I was clouded and I didn't have a clear head, then I wouldn't sit there and say Everton probably didn't deserve to win or Liverpool probably were the team on top, would I? So stop talking out your arse. And John says, have you watched James Redmond's ridiculous takes? I couldn't give a shit what James Redmond has to say, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never met him. I don't know him. I've never watched his YouTube channel. You know, I've watched one clip of him celebrating an offside goal and making himself look a bit like a fool. That's all. That's all. But yeah, like I said, you know, the manager goes with Ashley Young, and ultimately we knew that was going to happen. And Ashley Young does what he's done in pretty much every game in the last 5-6 weeks, and that gets an early yellow card. And he gets an early yellow card for his first tackle that he makes. And listen, I've got no issue with Ashley Young being sent off for his 2 challenges. If the referee is going to referee the game that way, then that's fine. If you're going to give a yellow card for every tackle somebody makes, then that is absolutely fine. Ashley Young made 1 challenge, he got a yellow card. 10 minutes later, he makes another one, he gets a red card. But what's questionable for me, and this isn't me being clouded or me not having a clear head, this is me calling out the absolute corrupt, biased idiots that run around in the middle of a football pitch that don't play for either side, aka the referees. If you are going to give Ashley Young a yellow card for his first foul, that's fine. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't. You know, I don't think it was a bookable offence because it was his first challenge in the game and it wasn't particularly cynical. I think he should have got away with it. But, you know, maybe it would have been given as a bookable offence on the 60, 70, 80th minute, fine. But explain to me why Kostas Tsimikas does the exact same challenge, by the way, on Jack Harrison. It's literally the exact same. There's no difference in the tackle. And yet, he doesn't get a yellow card. He gets away with it. He's allowed to play on. Explain to me why then Kostas Tsimikas makes another 3 challenges that go unnoticed and unbooked, and he just gets away with it, and Craig Pawson basically says, yeah, you're all right, lad. But then the minute Ashley Young makes his second challenge, he's sent off. So, again, don't get it twisted. I think Ashley Young is stupid to throw himself into that challenge on a yellow card, knowing that Everton don't get those types of decisions in Merseyside derbies and Anfield. You can talk to me all you like about how there's no corruption in the game and you've got a tinfoil hat on cam. The facts are the facts. And history will tell you that Everton have been refereed disgracefully in Merseyside derbies and Anfield all my life. All my life. All my life. But I've got no issue with Ashley Young being sent off for 2 silly challenges, because they were 2 silly challenges. In fact, I obviously mostly blame Ashley Young for putting us in that position. But I also blame Sean Dyche for A, starting him when he shouldn't be starting, and B, not taking him off when he was on a yellow card, knowing full well that he wasn't going to be given the benefit of the doubt. And by the way, Craig Pawson shit himself. We can talk about corruption, we can talk about bias, we can talk about this and that, the other. A lot of people won't have time for that conversation, but what you have to have time for is he shit himself on Saturday, Craig Pawson. He absolutely shit himself. He gave the red card to Ashley Young because of the crowd, because he wasn't even getting the yellow card out originally, and then as soon as he had someone in his ear and his arse went, he got the yellow card out. Now, I think that's VAR in his ear saying, send him off. But he might have just shit himself because of the crowd, I don't know, but a disgraceful referee who shouldn't referee a game of football ever again. The same referee who sent Phil Jagielka off in his first Premier League game for a tackle that was absolutely perfect, and he got the ball. The same referee that is given one yellow card before Saturday, no yellow cards in 30-odd games refereeing Liverpool Football Club, and yet he sent 5 Everton players off in the 20-odd games he's refereed Everton. So, yeah, it tells you everything you need to know. But, like I said, Ashley Young is silly. He shouldn't fly in. At this point, Everton were relatively comfortable in the game, as I said. I really, really find it strange, this notion that Liverpool were so much the better team and were so much in control and were unbelievable. They weren't at all. You're watching a different game. It was a very, as I said before, I don't think Everton were particularly in control, but I just think it was a very poor game of football up until that point. I don't think either team was particularly good. I don't think either team particularly impressed. As I said, Dominic Calvert-Lewin had the chance in the first couple of minutes where maybe, a fully fit Dominic Calvert-Lewin makes Alisson make a save in that moment, but he doesn't. He heads it at him. They had the chance with Luis Diaz where it's blocked. As I said, either team probably had 1 or 2 opportunities each that were half chances really. But other than that, there wasn't much happening. The moment Ashley Young gets sent off, obviously, the whole, the whole flow of the game and momentum of the game changes, because Everton have to change. Sean Dyche has to change. This whole, you sat back for 90 minutes and you didn't want to win the game, so you don't deserve anything. No, that's not true, is it? We sat back after we went down to 10 men, because we were 10 men. We were a man down at Anfield in a Merseyside derby against a team that has already got more quality than we have. I've got no issue with admitting that, because 99.9% of teams would do the exact same in that situation. In fact, Liverpool would do the exact same in that situation if they were away to Manchester City in a Champions League semi-final and they went down to 10 men. So let's not talk bollocks here. And as I said, my issue with Craig Pawson for that specific situation wasn't that he sent Ashley Young off. I do think, again, I do have a slight issue with him sending Ashley Young off, because he made 2 fouls in the game and he was sent off for making 2 fouls, which I've never ever seen, by the way, in a game of football before. I've never seen a player only commit 2 fouls and get yellow cards for both of them. I've never seen it ever before. But if that's how he wants to referee the game and he sees each one of those challenges as a yellow card, then that's fine. But you can't tell me there's no bias or there's no corruption when Kostas Tsimikas commits the exact same foul as Ashley Young's first foul and gets away without even a warning. So that's my issue. Tsimikas should have been sent off on Saturday by the same notion that Ashley Young was sent off. Never mind Konate. We'll move on to Konate a little bit later on. Tsimikas should have walked on Saturday without a shadow of a doubt. Or Tsimikas stays on the pitch and so does Ashley Young. It's only one of those 2 options. But as I said, Craig Pawson once again wanted the limelight because he's an egotistical clown and he wanted it all to be about him. And that's the way it is. That's exactly what we saw on show. But even when we went down to 10 men, I think it was the 38th minute, something like that, I thought we managed the rest of the first half really, really well. Obviously, Liverpool got a bit of momentum then, started to put their foot on the gas a little bit more, started to have more possession, started to have more control of the ball. Like I said before, the commentators on TNT Sport were literally climaxing every time Liverpool had a shot, even if the shot went 3 mile over the bar. I remember, I think it was it Soboslai or Alexander-Arnold had one that flew about 5 miles over the bar. It nearly landed in the boozer I was sitting in, watching the game in. I think it was Fletcher. Is it Fletcher that does the commentary? Was screaming and shouting as if it was close. Oh, he's hit that well. Well, he hasn't, has he? Because it's fucking 3 mile over the bar. If he'd have hit it well, they'd gone on target and gone in the back of the net. So again, I think I was watching Toffee TV before, and Baz said, Fletcher was sure to sing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and he himself was incredibly biased. But yeah, like I said, they had the early chance with Luis Diaz. We had the chance with Dom. Ashley Young gets sent off. Tsimikas is allowed to continue for unbeknown reasons to me, and we managed the rest of the first half really, really, really well. And do you know what? I'm not particularly angry at Sean Dyche for this game at all. I'm not. I think he made a couple of mistakes? Yes. I think starting Ashley Young is a mistake. Some people would disagree with me. I personally just think Nathan Patterson should be starting every week for Everton. Again, I've seen some people defending the Michael Keane substitution. I personally wouldn't have brought Michael Keane on. I wouldn't have, and I'm not saying that I would have preferred Godfrey to him, by the way. I'm just saying I personally wouldn't have had either of them on, really. I'd have stayed with the two at the back. And I'd have probably put James Garner right back. Maybe threw an extra body in midfield, put Garner Gay on or something in midfield. I wouldn't have gone to Michael Keane, purely on the basis that he has been known to let this club down and his team down time and time again in big moments and with big decisions. So I wouldn't have done that. But again, I can understand the reason as to why he did that. 10 men at Anfield, you've got a centre-half sitting on the bench there, 6 foot odd, however big he is, experienced. He's probably thinking, get him on and just we can see this out. But other than that, I think the way in which Everton set up, and again, as I said, I'll completely rubbish this nonsense of we sat back for the entire game. We didn't. We sat back when we went down to 10 men because, as I said, most teams would do that. We were having a go when we had 11 men. We didn't have many opportunities created. We weren't creating much, but neither were Liverpool. It was a very dull game of football at that point. But we done really, really well to see out the rest of the first half, and I remember sitting there at half time thinking, do you know what? If we can see this out and we can come away here with a point, it's a really, really good point, all things considered. Second half starts. Liverpool naturally are the aggressor. Naturally, they are the team, in front on the front foot. I've got no issue with admitting that. Whatsoever. Liverpool had the most possession. Liverpool had, the more the shots. And because when we went down to 10 men, we made the changes at half time. We brought Michael Keane on. We took our wingers off. Obviously, we then were defending to try and get a point and maybe snatch something on the counter attack. Of course, I've seen a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people on social media, Liverpool fans, trying to level at me that, well, you sat back and you defended and you weren't interested in the game. Well, yeah, I know, because we were down to 10 men and we had 45 minutes to play against 11 men. 11 players that, according to you, were the best ever to have existed in the world. So, of course, we were going to defend. Of course, we were going to try and sit back. Of course, we were going to try and, eradicate the opportunities that Liverpool were having. And we did do that. We did do that defensively up until the penalty. We were absolutely sound. Liverpool didn't cause us any issue before that. Salah didn't cause us any issue before that. Jota didn't cause us any issue. Luis Diaz didn't cause us any issue before that point. No issues whatsoever. Pickford, as I said, made 1 or 2 routine saves. They had another 4 shots that rifled over the bar that were never going in a million years. So, as I said, I thought we managed the game really well up until a key decision, which ultimately has changed the game, and we'll get on to talking about in a moment. But we were, the ball's in midfield. We were doing well. We weren't. I thought we were wasteful in the game. I'm not going to sit here and say we were great. I don't think we were great. I think defensively we were very, very good. I think we were very solid. I think we defended really well, and I think everything that come at them. I thought Jared Branthwaite was absolutely excellent. I thought Mikalenko was absolutely excellent. I thought Tarkowski was really, really solid. As I said, Ashley Young obviously was an absolute disaster, but Patterson, when he come on at half-time, I thought Patterson was really solid and made a good account of himself, battled, worked hard. I thought defensively we were really, really, really solid. I thought Onana was good in the midfield, battling as I said in the instant match reaction, I think he was a little bit. I think he was a little bit absent in the first half and in the opening maybe half an hour. But interestingly enough, when Ashley Young was sent off, I thought Amadou Onana looked much, much better from that point onwards. I thought he looked more involved. I thought he was battling more. He was getting back. He was helping out defensively. He was almost filling that space, certainly before we made the changes at half-time. In that period of 5-6 minutes, maybe even longer than that, between the sending off and the half-time whistle, I actually thought Onana was excellent. I thought he was fabulous. I thought he stepped up. I thought he pulled his socks up. I thought he battled. I thought he worked hard. I thought he got at them. I thought he caused issues for them. He was defending. He was throwing slide challenges in. I thought he was really, really, really good in that last 10 minutes of that first half. And then in the second half, I think he continued it. I thought he was excellent. But the reality is we weren't good enough in the transition. We weren't. I thought James Garner on the ball was poor. And I thought our attackers were poor, even though we didn't have a lot of the ball, and even though ultimately at half-time, we basically didn't have an attack because he brought the two wingers off. I thought when McNeil and Harrison did have the ball, they didn't do enough with it. I thought they worked hard and they ran round and they were all right. I don't think they were disastrous, but I just think in that transition, the thing is with these games is people can confuse it for you sit back, you don't want to win, you can't be arsed, you're pointless, etc. etc. No, what it is it's a defensive tactic that is based around attacking via a counter-attack. And when it works, it works. Example being Brighton away last season. And every counter-attack we did, we scored 5 goals and we dominated them. When it doesn't work, it can be seen as anti-football, you don't want to be here, you just want to defend, etc, etc, etc. No, what it was is we had a defensive core because we were down to 10 men. And defensively, we were very, very solid. But going forward in the transition, we weren't good enough. James Garner wasn't good enough with the ball at his feet. Abdoulaye Doucouré wasn't good enough with the ball at his feet. And therefore, Dom was, again, massively isolated with very little to do in the game and didn't do very much whatsoever. Worked hard, but didn't do very much. The wingers were isolated, and when they did get the ball, they weren't particularly great. So I'm not sitting here saying Everton were great, by the way. As I've said time and time again, and I am going to keep repeating this because Liverpool fans seem to allow this to go over their heads, it was not a very good game of football. That first half, it wasn't. Neither team had a particularly, huge amount of opportunities. It was scrappy. It was wasteful, certainly from an Everton point of view. And I don't know if Liverpool fans would agree. Probably not, because they are, biased. But it was scrappy. We were wasteful. In the transition, we were wasteful. And when you play a counter-attacking style, you can't really afford to be wasteful. If you're going to sit back from large parts of the game, the 2, 3, 4 opportunities that you get on the counter-attack, you have to do more with, and we didn't. We wasted them, as I said. I thought James Garner had an unusually difficult afternoon. I thought Doucouré was poor. And I thought the attackers obviously weren't in the game whatsoever. And then we get to half-time and he completely takes the attackers off. He takes McNeil off and he takes Harrison off and he brings obviously Patterson and Michael Keane on. And from that point on, we were under a very defensive mentality. But still, again, for 15, 20 minutes of that second half, Liverpool didn't cause us any issues. Defensively, we were solid. We were sound. Don't get me wrong, I don't think we had an awful lot of attacking threat or presence in the first half. We had less in the second half, and that was why, as I said, Liverpool maybe did deserve to win the game, because they had more of an attacking threat. And as I said, if you'd have said to me before the Canate situation, if someone is going to go on and win this game, who do you think it'll be? I'd say Liverpool, but I would have also been confident of Everton holding out for a point, because I think defensively we were absolutely brilliant. I think we were really solid, as I said. Branthwaite, Mikalenko, Tarkowski, all absolutely sound. Patterson had fit in and done well. Onana was brilliant. Pickford had very little to do. And I don't think we were under much pressure whatsoever. I don't think we were under much scrutiny on the pitch whatsoever. I really, really don't. So, okay, it was a defensive sort of outlook and we weren't offering anything going forward, and maybe you could say, you were always asking to concede, and that's why when people have said to me, well, it wouldn't have mattered if the sending off had have happened, you'd have still conceded. Maybe we would have. Maybe Michael Keane would have still threw his arm out and give away a penalty, or maybe it'd have been 10 men apiece. It'd have been more even. We'd have got a little bit more confident because they wouldn't have had that extra man. Liverpool would have been a little bit more, reluctant because they had a man sent off and the momentum would have switched, etc. Who knows what would have happened? The issue is we haven't been able to find out what would have happened because the referee on display is an absolute clown. I'm going to keep using the word clown because every other word I want to use will get me in massive trouble on YouTube and maybe even cancelled. So I'm just going to refer to the word clown to describe Craig Pawson. But put it this way, he won't be getting invited to ours for Christmas dinner. He is a gobshite of the highest order. An absolute gobshite. Anyway, that moment happens. The moment that everyone's talking about. The moment that Liverpool fans want to brush off as get on with it. It was a wrong decision. But interestingly enough, when they had the goal go against them, they cried for 3 weeks. Interesting, really. I've seen a few people in the media coming out over the last few day or so talking about it. And admitting that it was a shocking decision. I think Gallagher on Sky even come out and said it should have been a red card, which is huge news because Gallagher never disagrees with the referee. I think Martin O'Neill was on TalkSport. He come out and said it should have been a second yellow card. I don't understand how it wasn't. A lot of other people have come out and said similar. Now, for me, what Everton should do now, and Everton won't do this, by the way, because we are terrified of upsetting the PGMOL, we're terrified of upsetting the Premier League, we're terrified, and maybe they're right, maybe with everything that's going on with the financial stuff at the moment and the hearing being next week, maybe Everton are right to just say, do you know what, let's sit this one out and let's not upset anybody. But for me, I would just love it if I was sitting there tonight on my couch playing the new Spider-Man game, which, by the way, is absolutely unbelievable. So for every Liverpool fan in the comments saying, stop crying yourself to sleep, I'm not crying, lad. I'm having a whale of a time playing Spider-Man on the couch, trust me. But what I would love is for me to be sitting there tonight, playing the Spider-Man game, with my phone in my hand, chilling, not really doing much. Pick my phone up and I see Everton statement. Everton Football Club are disgraced by the performance of referee Craig Pawson on Saturday. We have requested that he doesn't referee Everton games again this season, and we would like the audio released for key moments in the game, such as the Konate moment, because we believe that Everton have been unjustly wrong done, or something along those lines. I'd love it. I'd read that letter and I'd be buzzing. I'd be straight on this channel. I'd be doing a video, I'd be doing a live stream, and I would be congratulating and applauding Everton Football Club for that moment. SJ said, robbed again, one shot on target in 99 minutes of football. Do me a favour, SJ, find me where that has anything to do with Konate being sent off. Find me where it does. Find me where. In fact, I'll tell you this as well. Down by our local chippy, there's a deal on fish, chips, curry, and a can for £5. Give you that information as well. Find me out where one shot on target in 99 minutes of football has got anything to do with Konate being sent off. And also, while you're there, find me out why the local chippy deal in my area has got anything to do with Konate being sent off. You won't be able to, because neither of them have got anything to fucking do with the situation that we're talking about. So stop talking out your arse. I think we would. I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. It won't happen, but I'd love it. And that's what should happen. Because that's what they did 3 weeks ago when they had something go against them. They had a goal go against them wrongfully, and they cried and they moaned, and they had their manager coming out requesting replays and all sorts of nonsense. And what happened after that? They got a big apology. They had a television show that was basically focused around that one incident. And ironically, they've now had 2 games since then in which they've gotten away with some big decisions. And I mean, there was a tweet that was put out earlier today. Let me find it. It was actually by a Tottenham fan, interestingly enough. But it's quite interesting, and I want to find it to discuss. Here it is here. In Liverpool's 2 games since playing Spurs, they have received 2 penalties, a red card in their favour, and escaped a blatant second yellow. I guess crying and screaming corruption really does work. Best league in the world with the worst officials. And that is exactly right. And as I've said before, I said on this channel a couple of days ago, and I'll say it again now. Doug, thank you so much, mate. I'm going to get right into that in a second. As I said a couple of days ago, and I'll say it now, my father-in-law is a Liverpool fan, massive Liverpool fan, season ticket holder, goes every week. We have banter, we're constantly, back and forth with each other. He said to me a couple of weeks ago after the Tottenham game, nothing will happen from that moment, talking about the Luis Diaz situation, other than we'll now get every decision go in our favour for the next couple of months, and that's how they'll they'll see, that's what they will see as an acceptable sort of apology or solution to that goal being disallowed. We'll get everything go our way. Lo and behold, he was right. And that's because the PGMOL are shit scared of Liverpool Football Club. Shit scared of them now because they kicked up such a fuss when they got a bad decision or when they got a wrong decision a few weeks ago. Now, what Everton should be doing is kicking up the same amount of fuss as Liverpool did and demanding the same things Liverpool did, like a replay, like the VAR footage. Because that decision on Saturday was utterly fucking embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. But we won't, because that's not what we do. And I'm not having a go at Liverpool for complaining, by the way, because Jurgen Klopp knew when he said maybe we should have a replay. He knew in the back of his head, we're going to get so many decisions go our way now. This is going to be great. But you'd have to play it. That's how that's what you've got to do. And Liverpool did it, and that's why they got the decision at the weekend. And as I said, the bias and the corruption that runs through the PGMOL is so evident. And if you want any more evidence, you only need to look at who's running the whole situation in Howard Webb. And ironically, Liverpool fans complain that Howard Webb was biased and corrupt towards Manchester United for years. Now he's all of a sudden the Lord and Saviour, and he's done nothing wrong. Funny. Doug has donated £10 to the team. Doug's a Liverpool fan, but is one of the soundest guys I've ever seen and met and spoken to in my life. He's a dead genuine fella. One of the Liverpool fans that genuinely will say it how it is. Doug, hope you're doing well, mate. Hope the baby's well. Hope the missus is well. Hope everything's okay with you. He says, hi Cam, that derby was a very poor game. Pawson had the made. If he sends off Young, he sends off Kanate. How he stayed on was ridiculous. We were running out of ideas when you went down to 10 men. There you go. And that is an honest Liverpool fan. An honest Liverpool fan who says it how it is, and that's exactly what it was. I'm not saying Liverpool didn't deserve to win the game based upon the shots on target or the possession or whatever, but the notion that Liverpool were unbelievable and were better than Everton and why we shouldn't be able to complain is A, wrong, and B, ironic considering Tottenham were the better team in your game 3 weeks ago, and yet you caused an uproar saying you deserve to win because a decision went against you. So funny. That's not at you, Doug. That's at the general consensus. Thank you very much, Doug. Really appreciate that, my mate. Top man. Hope everything is well with you. But yeah, that moment comes along and the game changes. Now, whether you want to disagree with me or you want to agree with me, without sounding arrogant and big-headed, I am right. The game changed after that moment. Now, I'm not saying we wouldn't have conceded the penalty if Liverpool had had a man down, or we wouldn't have lost the game, but had that decision have been correctly given, all of a sudden with 20 minutes to go, each team is down to 10 men. Who knows what could happen in that moment? Who knows what could happen in that moment? And Doug says, cheers Cam, wife and baby are doing really well. Is right, my mate, is right. I hope you're doing well as well. We need to get a video done soon, by the way. Message me and we'll get something sorted. I don't really know what to say about it, to be honest. I said everything that I could say on Saturday in the instant match reaction. I'd love to sit down behind a piece of perspex glass with Craig Pawson and just say, explain why. Honestly, why? No, well, because I thought with the run of play that it wasn't deemed a yellow card. Explain why. Tell us. I shit myself because it was at Anfield. Or, well, we were sort of told a few weeks ago to just give Liverpool the benefit of the doubt now, so I sort of give them the benefit of the doubt. Explain to me. And do you know when they have these ref watch shows on a Monday morning and Dave McGallagher comes on, and as I said before, fair play to him for calling it out this time, but 9 times out of 10 he defends the referee. And they've got one on BT where the other fella comes out and he says, oh well, this was the right decision, X, Y and Z, and they have all the pundits, and no doubt that Carragher and Neville will be discussing it on Monday Night Football tonight. Why not just get the referee in on that ref watch show on a Monday morning? Why not just get Craig Pawson in? And don't let me at him because I've got the emotion. Don't let an Evertonian at him because I've got the emotion. But, there's Sky Sports presenters there that Don't care what happened in the Merseyside derby. They've got no affiliation with it. Sue Smith's a bit different because she's an Evertonian, but they've got no affiliation with it. So they're not going to have a go at him. They're not going to get at him. But they should be able to ask him the question, why did you not give that as a second yellow card? Because you know, if Craig Pawson's got nothing to hide, he'd have no problem coming out and saying, yeah, I didn't think it was a second yellow card at the time, blah, 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 blah. The only reason he isn't coming out is because he's got something to hide. And that's fact. Now, whether that something to hide is, I was told to not give the second yellow card because I was told to give, all of the decisions in Liverpool's favour now, or whether it was, well, I shit myself. I absolutely shit myself at the idea of it and upsetting the Liverpool fans, so I just didn't give it. Whatever the reason may be, it's one of those reasons. Because there is no way he can have looked at that and deemed it not a yellow card. Now, as I said, people don't like to entertain the corruption arguments. People don't like to entertain the Premier League is got deep levels of money motivated decision making behind it. I believe that because I don't believe any multi-billion pound business is ran on luck or on, we'll wait and see what happens in this game of football. I think there is decisions that are angled towards certain ways to benefit certain people 100%. But I can tell you what has probably happened on Saturday. What has happened is Beto has been on the counter-attack. Canate has fouled him, without a shadow of a doubt, fouled him. And Pawson has given the foul, because it's a foul. Once he's blown that whistle, he has shit himself and realised that Canate is already on a yellow card, and he's just completely ignored the situation and gone, yeah, it's a foul. I've seen some Liverpool fans saying, it's not even a foul, it's a dive. He went, I think Stephen Warnock on that Ref Watch show today said he went down too easy. Stop talking out your bollocks, mate. Stop talking out your bollocks. I mean, there's bias and then there's bias, isn't there? What's the point in having Stephen Warnock on that show if he's going to talk that much shite? If I was Sue Smith in that scenario, who's an Evertonian who was also on the show, I'd have turned around to him and went, Stephen, stop talking out your fucking arse, mate. Do us a favour, if you're going to talk out your arse, just walk off because you're embarrassing yourself. Firstly, it's a clear foul. There's contact on the leg and there's contact with the arm being pulled back. Secondly, even if you don't think it's a foul, the referee gave a foul. And he gave a foul on a player who was already on a yellow card and who had just stopped an opposition player from having a clear run on goal. Now, yes, it was at the halfway line. Yes, Van Dijk was on an angle where he may have been able to get back and cover him. I'm not saying it should have been a straight red, but I've seen, every single time I've seen a player stop a counter-attack, it's been a yellow card. Whether there's been 10 players in front of him or whether there's been only one player in front of him, it's been a yellow card. Except that one moment. And as I said, it's bollocks. And for those Liverpool fans saying, haha, robbed, you had one shot, you had 10% possession, that's got nothing to do with this decision. Everton could have ended the game on 10% possession with one shot, but could have come away with the point. We might not. We might have still lost the game, as I said. But that's not the point. The point is that situation in isolation was a red card. It was a second yellow card. And he didn't give it. And he didn't give it because A, he shit himself. And B, he knew VAR couldn't intervene. Which is another absolute nonsense rule, by the way. Who makes that rule up? VAR can't intervene on second yellow cards. Who the fuck made that rule up? That is... What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? That and the fact that... that and the fact that VAR only looks at clear and obvious errors shows that VAR isn't actually there to get the right decision. It isn't actually there to make the right decision in games of football. It's there to be manipulated. And, the only reason it can be there to be manipulated is because there's some level of manipulation regarding results in games of football. Otherwise, why would they not just say, right, this is VAR, it's this new system, and it's going to be used to get the right decision? But no, it's going to be used to get clean and obvious decisions right. Well, it's not clean and obvious if they spend 4 minutes looking at something, is it? Which they've done numerous times before. It's not going to be used for second yellow cards, even though that's a clear and obvious error from the referee. Canate doesn't get sent off. He gets substituted immediately from Jurgen Klopp, which tells you everything you need to know about how Jurgen Klopp felt about it. I think Jurgen Klopp, agreed with it, to be perfectly honest, and that's why he took him off. James says, I'm a Liverpool fan. Canate should have been sent off. It's as simple as that. Everton were robbed with that. It could have changed the game. We got away with it, Tati. That is not a Liverpool fan kissing up to Evertonians or trying to impress anyone. That is an honest view of what happened. And my honest view is we might have still lost that game because Michael Keane might have still threw an arm out like an idiot, or we might have still conceded on the counter-attack. But it's not the point. The point is, and nobody can tell me otherwise, and if you are enjoying, by the way, please hit the like button. It does only take a second if you're new. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go and check out Fan Hub in the description down below. If you download it, follow us on there. Even if you don't support Everton, you can choose your team. Use the code, and brilliant app. You can check in at different football stadiums. You can do your predictions. You can do your starting 11 predictions. The more check-ins you do, the more points you get. The more points you get, you can exchange for prizes such as hoodies, t-shirts, pints of Carlin in the in certain boozers. So yeah, go and check it out. But the fact of the matter is the game was one-sided. It was officiated one-sided. The referee was one-sided. He gave certain things for Liverpool, but didn't give them against Liverpool. And that is a show of bias. And as I said, Everton may well have still lost the game. Let's not talk like Liverpool were unbelievable, because they weren't. Again, I'm just sick of these clueless, incompetent, biased, corrupt clowns getting away with this every single week. Every single week. I mean, literally, Saturday evening, 5:30 p.m. kickoff, Chelsea won a penalty against Arsenal because Gabriel's arm was out here, and the commentators were talking about the penalty for about 5 minutes. Should there have been a penalty? Shouldn't have been a penalty? I think that's harsh on Gabriel. It shouldn't be a penalty. It was the exact same foul that Michael Keane committed 3 hours earlier that they all said was a definite penalty. I just don't understand it. And I've said before, this will never, ever, ever, ever change whilst this group of officials is still in charge. One of them has admitted to match fixing and basically got a slap on the wrist and told, yeah, it's all right, don't worry about it. Mike Dean admitted to match fixing. He admitted that he did not give a decision last season that he should have given because he wanted to protect his friend because he was having a rough day. That is match fixing. He has fixed the potential outcome of that game based upon his relationship with his friend. And that is just one case of that where the referee has admitted it. That will be happening, and I can guarantee you that will be happening every week, where the VAR official is looking and thinking, oh, fucking hell, he's me mate. I don't want to make him make that decision because he's already had a rough day, so we'll move away from that one. We'll just forget about it. These referees all go on holiday together in the summer. And people will say, what's wrong with that, Cam? It's work colleagues having an out-of-work relationship and going on holiday. What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing is wrong with the referees going on holiday. What is wrong is when you've got the same referees helping each other out because there is a conflict of interest, and you get moments, as Mike Dean has admitted, where maybe the refs had a tough day, maybe the fans and the crowd are on his back, and the VAR looks at the decision and goes, I'm not going to make him give that because that'll make it even worse for him, and I don't want to do that. Why was Mike Dean not told, right, okay, you're sacked? You never referee in a game of football ever again. No, he was acted like a victim. He was treated like a victim. Oh, isn't that awful for Mike Dean? Oh, that's disgraceful. Let's pat him on the back and he can referee again next week. As I said before, I said it at the start of the season, I'll say it again, I've got no time for referees. They're all egotistical clowns who are biased, are incompetent, and genuinely believe that the world revolves around them. And they're not interested in getting the right decision. They're interested in making themselves look great. And I've got no time for any of them, and I've got no respect for any of them. And if you don't like that, then whatever, I'm not asked. I've got not 1 ounce of respect for any Premier League referee at all. Not one. But yeah, that happens. The sending off, or well, the should be sending off happens. Obviously, there's uproar. There's uproar in the stadium. There's uproar everywhere. Liverpool fans have hugely got away with one. Gameplay. Do me a favour, mate. You're doing me fucking head in. What are you talking about? No one's talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. No one's asked. But yeah, shortly after, 11 men Liverpool, obviously Klopp's taking Konate off at this point because he understands he's got away with one. They get a penalty. As I've said before, don't get me wrong, I've seen these not given, but I've got no real big issue with it either. I think when you throw an arm out like that and the ball strikes you on that arm and it's not in a natural position, although it was from very close and you could argue that maybe it was too close for that to be given. I fully understand that at Anfield in a Merseyside derby, that is always getting given. It's as simple as that. But yeah, once the penalty is given, it's checked by VAR. As I said, it was always getting given. Salah steps up, puts it beyond Pickford. No real complaints. Could Pickford maybe have dived either side? Possibly, but no real complaints. And then when it's 1-0 up, you sort of know what's going to happen. We're chasing the game then. I have got no issue again with what Sean Dyche did. I've got no issue with Sean Dyche saying, throwing Beto on and basically saying, throwing Danjuma on and basically saying, well, we're going to go and chase the game now. And, in situations like that, we always look susceptible on the counter-attack on Saturday. I thought every time we had a corner, I was sitting next to my cousin and I said to my cousin, we need to leave 2 or 3 players back here because every time we had a corner, it turned into a Liverpool counter-attack and they looked dangerous. They didn't make much of any of them, but they looked dangerous. And then obviously, with a couple of minutes to go, we have a corner, they counter-attack, they go up the other end. Obviously, Everton have committed everybody forward. I think Pickford even wanted to get forward, although he didn't. And yeah, Salah puts it away 2-0. I've got no interest in the second goal. But it's ironic because we've lost this game. And both goals I've got no problem with and I've got no interest in talking about because the penalty I think was always going to get given and I've got no issue with it. And the counter-attacking goal, I've got no issue with it from an Everton point of view because we had to commit. There's no point in us sitting back and defending at 1-0 down. We had to commit to try and get something out of the game. But yeah, then the game finishes and once again, we feel hard done by and rightly so by, as I said, a disgracefully biased and, in my opinion, corrupt official. What now? Well, I think it's important that the manager tries to lift the spirits, tries to lift the energy, tries to lift the mentality, tries to lift the momentum again and just tries to, talk to these players about it and make them forget about that and divert the blame elsewhere, divert the blame to the referee, divert the blame to, the officials on the day and just say, do you know what, we put up a good account of ourselves because we did. No matter what anyone says, and you all know if you've watched this channel for a long time, I have been a massive critic of Sean Dyche, and I still don't think Sean Dyche will be the Everton manager come the end of the season. But even me can sit back and go, do you know what? Yes, he made a couple of errors in terms of player selection, but in terms of the style and the tactic and the approach to the game, I don't think it was wrong. I don't think it was anything it shouldn't have been. I think it was exactly what it should have been. And I think Everton can walk off that pitch with pride and look at ourselves and think, all right, we were a bit sloppy in possession and we were a little bit wasteful, but defending-wise, battling-wise, effort-wise, I think it was all there. And we have to take those positives and take those things and apply them in against West Ham on Sunday. And hopefully we can get back to winning ways on Sunday because, I think... I think we deserve more from the weekend. I'm not necessarily talking about deserving to win, but we definitely at least deserved for the game to be refereed fairly, and it wasn't. So there you go. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. If you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button. Massive thank you to everybody for getting involved. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. It would mean a huge amount to me. If you've enjoyed this one, please leave a like. Don't forget to go and check out Fan Hub in the description down below. Top line, download it. Follow us on there at TheMightyBlues. Come and join our community. And yeah, we'll be back over the next couple of days with more content, so look out for that. But until then, big thank you all for watching, and we'll see you after.